Welcome to week 25 of Scott's Week in Sports Today, ladies and gentlemen. I am back after a 3-week hiatus, a little bit of computer difficulties going on, but I am back and happy to be here. I'm back with my dad this week, and now it is time for one of the best weekends of the year, College Football Conference Championship Week. This is always a big week for teams that are trying to get into the finals, to get into the college football playoff, and teams that are just trying to win their conference. So without further ado, let's get right into today's picks. So the first game out tonight will be USC and Stanford from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. This is probably going to be the best game the Levi Stadium is going to have all year because they're the home of the 49ers, who are not a very good NFL team. But they got a pretty good game to watch tonight between USC and Stanford. These two teams played earlier on in the season. I cannot quite remember who won the first time, but I think Sam Darnold is going to be too much to handle in this game. And I think USC is going to keep their college football playoff hopes alive here. And USC gets the win over Stanford.
USC actually blew out Stanford at the beginning of the season.
Oh.
But I think Stanford's a much better football team. With that said, I think USC is going to win, but very, very close game.
Next up, tomorrow at the Bounce House, it'll be number 20 Memphis heading in to take on number 14 UCF. What a win for the Knights last week. Absolutely incredible. One of the best college football games I've seen all season. But I'm so sorry, Knights Nation. I'm going to apologize to you right now because Scott Frost is going to leave you before the end of the season. But I'm going to take UCF close. The only reason why I could see Memphis winning this game is that the players are going to be distracted about what Scott Frost is doing. That's the only way we could lose this game. But if they stay focused, I think UCF should win this game by at least 14 points.
I agree. I think UCF's going to win this game. And I also agree the only potential downfall they have is the distractions surrounding Scott Frost. I think they're going to keep focused on their undefeated season. I think Memphis will play a much closer game to us this time than last time. And I think it's actually going to probably be a 7-point game. But UCF is on top.
Yeah, I also think it could be a 7-point game. They might score a touchdown in like garbage time with like 5 seconds left and then make it that 7-point game. So next up in the Conference USA, it'll be North Texas and Florida Atlantic. This is going to be a very nice game at FAU Stadium. Head coach Lane Kiffin is, just like I said earlier this season, has made FAU great again, and I think that he is going to continue that. They absolutely whooped North Texas's butt earlier on in the season, and I think they will do just the same this time. Lane Kiffin and FAU will walk out of Boca on Saturday, once again Conference USA champions.
Did you say FAU great again? Were they great before?
They were decent.
Fair enough. I really would like to see North Texas win this game. I don't like Lane Kiffin, but unfortunately I think FAU wins this one.
Yep. Next up in the MAC championship, it'll be Toledo and Akron. Another non-conference game. I'm going to go with the Toledo Rockets here. Toledo's had a very good season. Very nice team that they have down there in Toledo. So I will be taking the Toledo Rockets to beat the Akron Zips tomorrow in Detroit at Ford Field.
I'm going with Akron because I like the name Zips. They're the only Zips in college football that I know of. And I think the Zips are going to zip to victory tomorrow.
Next up in the Big 12 Championship, back into the games that actually matter. It'll be number 3 Oklahoma going against number 11 TCU at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Some people are saying that TCU still has an outside shot of getting in to the college football playoff. I'm not one of those people. They're ranked number 11 right now, but I think Baker Mayfield and this Oklahoma offense is going to be a little bit too much for TCU to handle. I think Oklahoma's going to secure a spot in the college football playoff with a win over TCU on Saturday.
I was really hoping for an Oklahoma State rematch. Seems like Oklahoma State matches up better with Oklahoma than TCU. I do not think TCU can stay with Oklahoma with too much offense. I think Oklahoma wins this by at least 10.
Next up at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in Atlanta, Georgia, it will be number 2 Auburn going against number 6 Georgia. I think College Game Day is going to be there tomorrow. They could be somewhere else, but I'm not sure. They're probably going to be there tomorrow. So the first time these two teams met, it was an absolute massacre. Auburn absolutely killed Georgia. I think Georgia's going to be a little bit pissed off after what happened. to them in the first time around. But I just do not have trust in the quarterback for Georgia, Jake Fromm. I think that Auburn's going to stop the running game of Sonny Michel and Nick Chubb, and I think that Auburn's going to win again, nice and easy against Georgia.
I think Auburn's going to win, but I think it's going to be a very close game. You got two things going on. Number one, the last game was at Auburn. Number two, Auburn had a lot of injuries to the running backs, so I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as well. I do think Auburn's a better team, though, but I think it's going to be actually a close game. Probably Auburn's going to win by less than 7.
Next up in the SWAC championship, it'll be Alcorn State and Grambling State. Once again, a pretty okay game here between two teams that are not talked about as much. I'm going to go with Grambling State. They were a team that I was pretty impressed with last year. Their quarterback did very well last year. Don't know if they have the same quarterback this year, but I'm going to go with Grambling State to beat Alcorn State on Saturday.
I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about these teams other than the fact that Doug Williams from the Bucks played for Grambling State, so I'm going to go with Grambling State on this one.
Next up in the Mountain West, it'll be Boise State and Fresno State. These two teams played last week, and Fresno State got the better of the Broncos last week. But I don't think it's going to happen again here. I think Boise State's going to find a way to get the win over Fresno State, and then hope that Memphis and UCF can somehow both lose, because then that could put them into the New Year's Six, but that could not happen. But I'll take Boise State over Fresno State on Saturday.
I think Fresno State's going to win this one again. I think they're a better team than Boise State, and unfortunately for Boise State and Fresno State, both UCF and Memphis cannot lose at the same time because they play each other.
Next up at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, it'll be the ACC Championship game as number 1 Clemson plays against number 7 Miami. I'm going to go with the upset here. I think Miami's going to be pissed off after what happened last week against Pittsburgh, and I think Malik Rozier's going to have a bounce-back game this week. And I was kind of surprised with how good Miami's done this year, because I thought that they were going to be not as good as they have been this year without Bryce Kaya. But I think Malik Rozier and Miami are going to get it done against Clemson.
It's a bold pick. I think Clemson is just too good for Miami. I think they're too good up front. I think they're going to control the line of scrimmage. I think they beat Miami by at least 10.
Next up in the Big Ten Championship at Lucas Oil Stadium, it'll be number 8 Ohio State under head coach Urban Meyer going against number 4 Wisconsin. Two teams that are trying to get into the college football playoff. And I think that Urban Meyer and Ohio State are going to find a way to get this win. Urban Meyer does not lose in big games, and this is probably the first big game that Wisconsin's been in since they had a running back by the name of Monty Ball, who I thought was very good. But I'm going to take Ohio State and J.T. Barrett, who will play tomorrow in the game after the ankle injury he had against Michigan. He is active tomorrow, so I'll take Ohio State to get the win over Wisconsin, and all Alabama fans will be starting to have a party, because I believe that Alabama is going to jump Wisconsin on Sunday with an Ohio State win. I think Alabama is going to jump Wisconsin and get into the college football playoff, and we'll see a rematch of the national championship between Clemson and Alabama, last year's national championship. So give me the Buckeyes.
That's a lot of predictions there, one call. I actually think Wisconsin's going to win. I think Wisconsin's been the most underrated team this season. Their defense doesn't get any credit. They've been able to basically stop every offense they played. I think J.T. Barrett, while he's going to play, won't be 100% healthy. So I do like Wisconsin in this game, but in a close one.
The only reason I took it was for the upset. That's the only reason why I wanted to take an upset there. Next up, into the NFL games for the weekend. Probably the best game of the weekend, in my opinion. 1 o'clock kickoff in Atlanta. The Minnesota Vikings head in to take on Red Hot Julio Jones and the Atlanta Falcons. Julio Jones got lucky last week, in my opinion, because he was playing against one of the worst defenses in the NFL in Tampa. But I think that the Vikings are going to show them what a good defense looks like this week. And I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to get the win on the road in Atlanta over the Falcons.
I think if this is at a neutral field or in Minnesota, Minnesota wins this. But at Atlanta, I think Atlanta is going to win a very close game against Minnesota.
Next up at FedEx Field in Buffalo, New York, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots head in to take on Tyrod Taylor and the Buffalo Bills. As much as I hate this pick, I'm going to go with the road Patriots because you do not pick against Tom Brady in the regular season. Tom Brady is just so good. He makes so many great plays. Give me the road Patriots over the Bills.
I agree. I mean, the Bills looked pretty good early in the season. They've faltered since that time. I think New England's just too good for the Bills. New England wins by at least 10.
And probably the worst game of the week as the San Francisco 49ers head into Soldier Field to take on Mitchell Trubisky and the Chicago Bears.
Who cares?
I'm actually going to go with the 49ers in this game. They are starting Jimmy G this week, and I think that will be the difference. So I will take Jimmy G and the... Actually, let me change that pick. I think the Bears are a better home team than they are a road team, and the Bears are at home. Their defense is not unappreciated, undervalued. So I'll be taking the home Bears over the Niners.
Are we allowed to change picks right now? I actually am going to go with the Bears as well. I think the Bears are a good defensive team. I think Garoppolo will show some rust from not being a starter for a long period of time. I think the Bears will win this in a close one.
Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head into Lambeau to take on Brett Hundley and the Green Bay Packers. Bucs Nation, we get our quarterback back this week. Jameis Winston is back, and hopefully he'll make us eat some W's this week after that terrible pregame thing that he did a couple of weeks ago back in New Orleans. But we have been 2-2 since that thing, and I think we'll become 3-2 this weekend. I think our defense is going to get some pressure on Brett Hundley, and if that was Ryan Fitzpatrick, I probably would have taken the Packers. But I think Jameis Winston is going to have a target on his back with all of the things that are going around with him not being a quarterback of the future for us. So I think Jameis Winston is going to prove something this week, and the Bucs get the win over the Packers.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Jameis Winston is going to take an Uber to the game? Because if he does, the Bucs are going to lose. And even if he doesn't, I think the Bucs are still going to lose. I like the Packers at home in this one to beat the Bucs.
The only reason I'm saying that is because it's probably the last time I'll pick them this year, so it's worth a try. Next up, the Houston Texans head into Nissan Stadium in Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans. And Marcus Mariota has not been the same as he was last year with the Titans, but I think the offense is going to have just enough oomph this week to get over the hump. I think the Titans get the win over the Texans on Sunday.
This is two pretty mediocre teams. If the Texans have their starting quarterback, I clearly take the Texans, but they don't. So I'll take the Titans in this one, in a close one.
And next up, the Denver Broncos heading in to Hard Rock Stadium to take on the Miami Dolphins. The Broncos are winless on the road this season, but not for long. I am taking the Broncos in that no-fly zone to get the win on Sunday against the Dolphins. Jay Cutler's going to throw a couple picks, and I think that the Broncos defense is going to win the game for them. They finally get their first road win of the season right here in week number 13. That's kind of surprising, but I'll take the road Broncos.
This is two bad teams, and but the Broncos are the worst road team perhaps in the NFL. So I'm going to take the Dolphins in this one, not because they're good, but because the Broncos are that bad on the road.
Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs head into MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Jets. And these are two teams that are going opposite ways of where I thought they would this year. The Jets are actually winning some games and keeping games close. And the Chiefs started off really hot, which I thought they would. But they have just fallen apart the last couple of weeks. Alex Smith has not done what he's been doing all year long. So this is a tough pick for me. But I'm going to go with the homer pick here. Jeremy, Wednesday could have been my last day of work with you, buddy. But I'm going to take your Jets to get the win at home over the road Chiefs.
The Chiefs are a strange team. They were the best team in the NFL at the beginning of the season, and now they have actually gone to the point where they're below mediocre. I think the Jets at home get the win in this game.
Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars are heading home at Everbank Field to take on Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts. And can I ask you a question, Dad?
Sure.
Is this an odd-numbered week?
You said 13, right?
Yes.
That is an odd-numbered week, yes.
So I will be happily taking the Jacksonville Jaguars because somehow they're better on odd-numbered weeks. I think Blake Bortles is going to have a great game this week. Leonard Fournette's going to run in a couple times, and the Jaguars defense is going to get some pressure on Brissett. The Jaguars win by at least 3 touchdowns.
I think the Jaguars will only score 13 points in this game and still win because the Colts offense will be stymied by the Jacksonville defense. The Jags get the win at home.
Next up, 2 6-5 teams are playing against each other this week as Matthew Stafford and the Road Lions head into M&T Bank Stadium to take on the Baltimore Ravens, who are coming off a big win on Monday night against the Texans. But I'm going to take Matthew Stafford and the Road Lions because I just think I have more faith right now in Stafford than I do in Joe Flacco. But I think that Ravens defense could help out this week. But I'm going to take the Road Lions over the Ravens.
It's going to be a really close game. I think the Lions are actually a better team, but since it's at Baltimore, I'm going to take the Ravens in a close one.
Next up, the 0-11 Cleveland Browns head in to the StubHub Center in Los Angeles, California to take on Philip Rivers and the LA Chargers. Remember this, guys. The Browns beat the Chargers last season to get their only win, but I think the Chargers are going to remember that, and they're going to get a revenge win over the Browns this week. Philip Rivers and the Chargers are going to get a win here in probably the least populated game this week. I see about 2,000 fans there this week.
The Chargers are kind of the comeback story of the season. They started out struggling, and now they're playing much, much better. I like the Chargers in this one by 2 touchdowns.
Next up, the New York Giants heading in to Oakland and Oakland Coliseum to take on Derek Carr and the Oakland Raiders. Giant fans, I do not know why you want to sit Eli Manning right now. I don't know. Ben McAdoo needs to get fired right now. That should be a Christmas present to all you Giant fans. Ben McAdoo needs to get fired before Christmas. That should be a Christmas present to all you Giant fans. But I'm going to take the home Raiders. I think Oakland's going to get a win here. Michael Crabtree is suspended, but I think Amari Cooper is going to do the damage here, and the Raiders get the win over the Giants.
If Ben McAdoo gets fired, what about his Christmas? It's going to be ruined, isn't it? Anyway, I think the Raiders, just because they're at home and because the Giants are going to be starting a backup quarterback, I think the Raiders are going to win this game with 2 bad teams.
Next up, the Carolina Panthers head into New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Saints, battle for first place in the division. Both teams have 1 loss on both sides. The Panthers are 5-1 on the road, and the Saints are 4-1 at home. But I think the Saints are a much tougher team at home inside the Superdome than they are on the road. They proved that last week against the Rams. But I think they're going to bounce back this week, and the Saints will get the home win over Carolina.
I think this will be one of the better games of the weekend. I think you get 2 very, very good football teams. But I agree with Scott. The fact that the Saints are at home gives them the edge, and they win a close one against the Panthers.
Next up, at the University of Phoenix Stadium, it'll be the Los Angeles Rams heading in to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Blaine Gabbert actually looked pretty good last week against his former team in Jacksonville. But I'm going to take Todd Gurley and Cooper Kupp in this offense to get the win. Jared Goff's been unbelievable this year. Give me the road Rams.
The Rams are one of the surprise stories of the NFL, one of the good feel-good stories of the NFL. I like the Rams in this one. They keep winning, and I think they're going to win by at least 10 points.
Next up, the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles heading in to Central League Field and the 12th man to take on Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. That'll be on Sunday Night Football, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take the road Eagles. Carson Wentz has been absolutely unbelievable all year long, and that defense has just been absolutely phenomenal. Getting to the quarterback, getting pressure on that defense, and getting interceptions as many times as they can a game. I think Russell Wilson's going to struggle a little bit this week, so I'm going to take the road Eagles.
Eagles are 11-1, and I heard a stat that all 11 wins have been against losing teams. I still think Philadelphia's a good team, but I think they're going to lose this week on the road in Seattle, which is a very tough place to win on the road.
They're actually 10-1, Dad.
10-1. Thank you, Scott.
No problem. So next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers heading in to Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati to take on Marvin Lewis and his Cincinnati Bengals. Probably one of his last games. I expect Marvin Lewis to get fired at the end of the season.
You're trying to fire a lot of people, aren't you?
I just don't think he's done enough in Cincinnati, because if you can't win playoff games, you are just not a very good coach in the NFL. So Terry, I'll be taking your road Steelers in this one. I think the Killer Bees are going to do something this week. Bell, Brown, and Roethlisberger are going to do something this week, and I think the Killer Bees are going to get the win for the Steelers. Steelers get a win by 21 on the road on Monday night.
Steelers are playing very, very well. They're playing their best football at the right time of the season. I think the Steelers are going to get this win on the road against the Bengals easily by probably 21 points.
And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching today's video. And I will see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Week in Sports right here on YouTube. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave a nice comment down below and subscribe if you are new. And tell all your friends about these videos. And I'll see you guys next week on Scott's Week in Sports, where hopefully UCF's going to be 12-0. And we will be talking about that bowl game in Atlanta, Miami, anywhere. We will be there for the bowl game if we win this week. And I'll see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Week in Sports. Go Knights!
Go Knights!